G'day guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at a Protoss vs Terran build that is going to get you a lot of free wins, as well as teach you the basics of Protoss vs Terran macro games. It's going to be very awesome. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So, this is Protoss vs Terran. In it, we're going to be doing a DT drop. It's going to be very exciting, I know. DT drops are very powerful because they can just straight up win the game. That's the beauty of them, right? Especially in lower leagues, detection is not the best, let's be honest. So you can just get really far ahead, just win games straight up. They're also great defensively. Against some sort of 2-base push, DTs are going to do really well. So this build is a nice build that I took from Parting. It's very safe. Has some nice scouting in it as well, so it will teach you a lot about how to play Protoss macro in general as well, that you can take and use in other builds, not just DT drop builds. I'll also be talking about the mid-game transition, the late-game transition, how we want to posture on the map, how we want to build our economy, our army composition, upgrades, all this kind of stuff. It's all going to be covered in this video. So just straight up, it's extremely standard, pylon, gate, gas. And on this map you can wall off the Reaper. On any map where you can do this with 2 or 3 buildings, so pylon, gate, core, it's definitely worth it. If it takes more buildings than that, you don't worry about it, don't go for it. But this map is perfect, just 2 buildings to wall it off, very simple. And it's really great because then it denies scouting from the Reaper, right? That's what we want to achieve. We do a gateway scout, we always do a gateway scout, guys. The reason why we do a gateway scout is so we see if the barracks is missing on his side of the map. If we see no barracks on his side of the map, I will add a gas, add a pylon, get a zealot, start a core, and expect a proxy, right? And I'll check the gas and all this kind of stuff. I believe I have a video covering this on my channel. I'll link it in the top right-hand corner. And something that's different with this build is that we actually go for Nexus first. Nexus before core. Essentially, for the past 2 years, maybe, the prevailing build order in this matchup has been core then Nexus. And it's still a really good build, don't get me wrong. It's still probably the one that you'll see predominantly. But we're starting to see a lot more Nexus first come back into it. Because Terrans have got really good at defending the Adept. Ever since the build time on the Adept has changed. It's kind of hard to get across and do damage. Occasionally you still see it, but, you know, while it's good for scouting, you're not getting that game-winning damage. So in this game, I'm actually going to go Stalker first. I'm happy just to stay on my side of the map. I don't want to go across the map anyway. I'm trying to deny scouting in my base because I'm going DTs. For scouting then, I actually end up building a Sentry. So I mean, this isn't even the quickest DT drop that you could possibly do. I delayed the Twilight counter for a Sentry. But what the Sentry allows us to do is use hallucination and get a great idea what our opponent is doing. I really love this style. You're unlikely to see Stalker Sentry if you open core first. It's much more suited to Nexus first, where you just get that slight boost to your economy in minerals. So Twilight Council, then Robo, very standard. If you guys don't want to do a DT drop, by the way, if you guys just want to get Blink, when I add the Dark Shrine here, you could do the same thing, but just get Blink and play out this game exactly the same. So when we have gas for it, I'll add the Dark Shrine in the main base, a second gateway in the natural. Here comes the Dark Shrine. And I'm going to hallucinate an Oracle. So let me talk about our setup. We have Twilight, Robo, 2 gateways, and we're scouting. If you do that with an Adept, if you do that with a Sentry, it's all going to be the same. We start to add gases on our natural at this point. If you go DTs, you definitely need them a bit earlier. So I add one at 3:45 and then another at 4 minutes when it completes. We actually see that our opponent's going 3 CC, and I'll talk about the reactions just in a second. But if you were to play Blink, just get double gas at 4 minutes. So, against our opponent in this game, he's gone 3rd command center. We're probably not going to kill him, we're probably not going to do too much damage, but he's not going to kill us. So we can take a really quick 3rd base, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I take this really quick 3rd base. Usually, if I was playing against, let's say I go across the map and I scout a 3 racks, right? I scout a 3 racks aggression play, or I scout, 2 racks factory with a tech lab. and Cyclones and Vikings are being produced, then you know a push is coming. So I wouldn't take a third base as quickly. I would just get Stalker warp-ins as we're going across the map with the Warp Prism. Build the Robo bait in your main base around 4 minutes 40. And then continue on and take your third base once you have an immortal out. Okay? So in this game, we can be quite greedy, because we know he's not going to be able to kill us. But if your opponent's being aggressive, stay on 2 bases. That is key. We get 2 observers. Some nice micro here, I guess. Just killing some marines. We get 2 observers, and then an immortal. In this case, I get supply blocked, I think, which is rather unfortunate. Just slightly. You definitely want this immortal. The immortal is so useful. It's going to come in handy against any push that the Terran does. This is actually a big thing that I've noticed recently. We used to go straight colossus without the immortal, but it was really, really tricky. So just get that immortal. It provides so much in your army, and you're going to be much, much stronger and able to defend pushes. It's really great. Get the immortal. Even if you have to delay the colossus, by the way, it's just worth it. So we're fully saturated on our third base already, because I've just been continually producing probes, because we know he wasn't being aggressive. If they are being aggressive, cut some probes, just build units. Nice and straightforward. I end up getting charge first, and colossus. Our forge is actually really, really late. We're just trying to deal with a push. Probably in this game I should have got my forge earlier, because we know he's on 3cc. But in a standard game, you get forges really, really late with this style, because you're just trying to survive any push that comes. You know, no push is coming in this case, so that's my fault. But with the later forge, it means you're going to have to rely on disruptors, because your upgrades aren't going to be winning the game as much. So you want some shield batteries at your third base. I even add one in my main base. I think you should also add a cannon in your main base at the same time. The way I'm going to set it up is I'm going to have stalkers in my main base, 5 or 6 stalkers. I'm going to send my second colossus that is building to also hide out in the main base with these stalkers. So this is the split that you want to have. You want to have units at the third base, no stalkers there usually, with shield batteries, maybe a cannon. Then you want to have the rest of your units, a bunch of stalkers, in your main base with a colossus that rallies out. And you're just going to be completely safe to drops. Make sure that you're using observers very, very nicely. As we can see in this game, I've got nice vision on the map. I've sent zealots out as well to see if anything's coming my way. I'm using this Warp Prism to set up a counter-attack. If he ever was to attack me, I'd send those zealots straight in. So the way we move forward in this game is we get a second forge, just finished. We go up to 3 colossus, we get blink, we get thermal lance. Then, after going up to 8 gateways, we're going to add a second Robo, as well as a Templar Archives. And we're actually not going to get Storm. I just find that Ghosts are too overpowering in this matchup. So you actually just want to build Archons to supplement your army. And then, whenever you feel safe, take a 4th base. The earlier you get the 4th base down, the easier it is to defend, surprisingly enough. But sometimes the game is chaotic and you have to defend a push. Let's say they're all-inning you with tanks and whatnot. Then you're sitting behind your shield batteries just building units constantly, right? So my third Colossus just finished. I end up getting another Observer, because our initial 2 Observers I find is not enough. I would love some more vision out on the map. So I'm going to try and clear up this army. If you have great vision and you know that this is the only army out on the map, I can position. Maybe I want him to lift up into the main base and I snipe them all, right? So you can get very creative with how you use your vision and your units around the map. You'll notice I'm sending zealots to form like a wall across the map as well. This is very, very important. There's the Templar Archives. I'm probably going to add a second Robo in a second, I'm sure. And we're going to start Disruptor production. So, there is one other thing that I guess I can say, but Disruptors are the key in this matchup. It's very, very hard to beat Terran without Disruptors. Nigh on impossible, I would say. So, you do definitely want to get to that second Robo Disruptor at some point. This game, I get it slightly later than I normally would. Sometimes I even just get it on the 3 bases. Maybe because he was being very defensive, I took the 4th base first. But The other thing that's sort of new, I don't really have an opinion on this yet, but you get immortals as well as disruptors. So you have like a colossus, immortal, disruptor, Archon, Stalker army with zealots for counterattacks. You notice I am pushing forward while I drop into the main base, while I send more zealots into the third base, continue warping into the main base. It's really, really important. Now, I don't think I can break him. This map is actually very, very hard to break a Terran on. So, we don't actually achieve very much. He's in a very, very scary spot. I don't actually know how to beat Terran players. Period. Terran's kind of overpowered. But what does work for me is building disruptors and trying to take fights. Slow fights. Never really get into a main engagement because you're going to lose. That's all I will say. I don't have the best vision anymore, so we'll see they will actually sneak around and be quite annoying very soon. But I'm trying to get rid of all the zealots in my army as well, so that I can always do counterattacks. So those guys are going to go off and do a counterattack. I'm going to try and do a disruptor. I think it got a decent shot. Sorry. It probably wasn't the best. He is maxed. But Terran is kind of overpowered, right? Look at these ghosts. Aren't ghosts bullshit? Sigh. Anyway, we're going to be defensive. Use that shield battery overcharge. And if you can focus down Vikings, you can not die. Okay, that's your main thing. Focus down Vikings. If your Colossus survive, then you're in a good spot. My counterattack did a lot of damage. Now I'm going to try and jump on top of this by sending Zealots in first. That's key. You always want to be sending your Zealots in first and making sure they're doing the tanking. My Disruptor ends up betraying me. Maybe it's a bit later. But I'm then looking at my army, right? And I'm like, well, my army doesn't seem solid enough for more Disruptors. Disruptors are kind of flimsy and they need a lot of support. So I decided to build 2 Immortals. 2 Colossus would have also been a great choice. We just killed all the Vikings. Even 5 Colossus is okay. Actually, it's this fight coming up where the Disruptors betray me. I end up getting DT Blink. DT Blink is your most important late game upgrade. I am not joking, it is the most important late game upgrade. And as we see here, I'm just being defensive, staying at my shield batteries, using Disruptors if he comes forward. If Vikings come forward, I'll try and blink under and snipe. That's the general idea. But DT Blink is the most important upgrade in the late game. The reason why, you essentially can't kill a Terran if you don't break their economy. And DTs with Blink and Zealots with Charge are the way you break Terran bases. We'll see later that this army just completely demolishes a 4th base. So we're going to go for a flank here. Cast some Disruptors. They end up betraying me, but once I kill the tanks, I lose a couple of Stalkers to my own Disruptors. We clean this up and we push him back and I'm feeling great. This game is essentially over in my opinion. What I'm going to do is pull back here, regroup, do another huge warp in. Now we're up 50 supply as you can see. And I'm going to do counterattacks now. We've got the Terran finally on the defensive. We can posture with Disruptors. If he ever commits onto us, we use all our Disruptors and kill his army, force him to retreat. That's the idea. While we're doing huge counterattacks with Zealots and DTs. So I'm trying to, posture, find the best way forward. I don't know if I am that decisive. I definitely could be more decisive in this case. The other thing I guess I would mention as well is the perfect worker count for this kind of style is 75 workers. 75 workers is 4 base saturation. If, your main base has started to run out of guys, right? It'll be perfectly 4 base saturated. 75 is a really, really good number to choose if you want to play these styles that are very aggressive with gateway units, Colossus, Robo, Disruptor. If you want to go Tempest carriers, I don't end up doing it in this game. As you can see, my DT counterattack did work. But yeah, if you want to go Tempest, 80 workers, 85 workers, that's the better choice. So I just run in with DTs, Zealots, blink on top, and destroy a base. I pull back, I'm super far ahead. All he can do now, he's lost so much, is all in me, right? So I just want to do a nice flank with my army. here it is. Killing tanks is always nice. Disruptors as well, make him split so he's wasting, DPS. There we go. That's GG. So I hope you guys have really enjoyed this video. I was struggling to find a guide for Protoss vs Terran because I've been, hiding strategies and doing all this stuff. But this is a really awesome build order that I think you guys will really like. And it'll teach you how to play macro. Key things, DTs are really good. Try and just win the game. If not, Immortal, then Colossus, and then split up the two armies. Build plenty of shield batteries and cannons in either base. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Peace out. Bye.